Hello, DMG's Jim here, back to continue our RTFM series in the 2024 Dungeon Master's Guide. Continuing along in the Dungeon Master's Toolbox, Chapter 3 leads us to Firearms and Explosives. I'm gonna roll my eyes a little bit in here, but I'm gonna try to refrain from a lot of commentary because everyone feels the way how they do. I'm here to provide hopefully information a little bit. Let's get into it. Firearms and Explosives. Renaissance-era pistols and muskets appear in the player's handbook. In a campaign involving a crashed spaceship or elements of modern-day Earth, characters might find the items described here. Firearms. The firearm table provides examples of modern and futuristic firearms. If you make them available for purchase, perhaps in the fantastical marketplaces of the City of Brass, treat modern items as rare magic items and futuristic items as very rare ones. See Chapter 7, the Magic Items chapter. We'll get there someday. Properties. Some weapons in the firearms table have the following properties in addition to the properties described in the player's handbook, primarily the reload. Burst fire. As an action, you can expend 10 pieces of a burst fire's weapons ammunition to spray shots in a 10-foot cube within the weapon's normal range. Each creature in that area must succeed on a DC 15 dexterity savings throw or take damage. Roll the weapon's damage once and apply it to each creature that fails to save. Reload. You can make a limited number of shots with a reload weapon. You must then reload the weapon as an action or a bonus action. Ammunition. Firearm bullets are destroyed upon use in a modern firearm. Futuristic firearms use energy cells that become depleted but could possibly be recharged with the proper equipment at your discretion. An energy cell weighs 1/2 of a pound. So here we get into the tables. Not a lot more than that for the firearms. The left column is going to describe the weapon. The next column is going to describe the damage type, followed by the properties, which is using in-game 5e terms, the mastery, what does it apply? Remember, looking at 2024, weapon masteries are also going to apply to firearms, followed by the weight of the weapon. These are all considered martial ranged weapons in regards to proficiencies. Your automatic rifle, it deals 2d8 piercing damage, has ammunition range of 80 to 240 as its maximum, with a bullet. Burst fire allows it to expend the 10 pieces of ammo to shoot into a 10-foot cube. Reloads with 30 shots and requires 2 hands to attack with it. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to it, you can reduce its speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. If the creature is hit more than once by weapons that have this property, it doesn't exceed 10 feet, non-cumulative, and the weapon weighs 8 pounds. The next weapon is our hunting rifle, 2d10 piercing damage. Ammunition is the property with a range of 80 to 240. Reload with 5 shots and 2-handed. Also applying slow, also with an 8-pound weight. Excuse me. The next one is revolver. Damage is 2d8 piercing. Ammunition of 40 to 120, also a bullet. The property of reload applies here with 6 shots. And the mastery is sap, in which case, if you hit a creature with this weapon, that creature has disadvantage on its next attack roll before the start of your next turn, with a weight of 3 pounds. Following that is your semi-automatic pistol, dealing 2d6 piercing damage, ammunition with a range of 50 to 150, and a bullet is the type. Reload is the property with 15 shots. The mastery is Vex. If you hit a creature with this weapon and deal damage to that creature, you have advantage on your next attack roll against that creature before the end of your next turn. 3 pounds is the weight. Followed by the shotty, the shotgun. 2d8 piercing damage. Ammunition is the property range of 30 to 90, and it's a bullet. Reload is 2 shots. 2-handed. Push is the mastery property, which if you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from yourself if it is large or smaller, and the weapon weighs 7 pounds. The next category is futuristic items. The tables are laid out the same way. Martial ranged weapon is the proficiency. the item on the left, the damage, and the damage type. The next category followed by properties, masteries when they apply, and the weight of the item. So the first one is the antimatter rifle. Damage is 6d8 necrotic. Properties are ammunition, a range of 120 to 360 off of an energy cell. The reload with 2 shots and two-handed. Sap is the mastery, which will apply the disadvantage on the next attack before the start of your turn, and it weighs 10 pounds. Laser pistol, 3d6 radiant damage, ammunition type. Range 40-120, needs an energy cell, but the reload is for 50 shots as its property. Vex, again causing you to have advantage on your next attack roll before the end of your next turn, 2 pounds. Laser rifle, 3d8 radiant, ammunition, range 100 to 300 with an energy cell. Reload of 30 shots with two-handed as the property. This one does the slow, where the target is slowed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. 7 pounds on the weight. The next category is explosives. The explosives table has examples of explosives. If no cost is given for an explosive, it can't typically be bought. If you make these explosives available for purchase, treat them as rare magic items. Rules for explosives are given below. Explosives. The table lists the item on the left, the cost, if any, in the middle, and the weight of the item on the right. And the descriptions of each item will give us their specific damage or property. The bomb. The bomb costs you 100 gold pieces, weighs a pound. Dynamite stick does not have a listed price, but they weigh a pound. Fragmentation grenades do not have a listed price, and they weigh a pound. The grenade launcher does not have a listed price, but it weighs 7 pounds. Trying to keep my eyes from rolling out the back of my head. Sorry. Smoke grenades cost 50 gold and weigh 2 pounds. A keg of gunpowder costs 250 and a weight of 20 pounds. And a powder horn has a cost of 35 gold pieces and a weight of 2 pounds. So, a bomb. As in action, you can light a bomb and throw it at a point up to 60 feet away where it explodes. Each creature in a 5-foot radius sphere centered on that point makes a DC 12 dexterity savings throw, taking 3d6 fire damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. Dynamite stick. As an action, you can light a dynamite stick and throw it at a point up to 60 feet away where it explodes. Each creature in a 5-foot radius sphere centered on that point makes a DC 12 dexterity saving throw, taking 3d6 force damage on a failed save or half as much on a successful one. It takes 1 minute to bind 2 or more dynamite sticks together so they explode at the same time. Each stick after the first increases the damage by 1d6 to a maximum of 10d6, and the effect's radius by 5 feet to a maximum of 20 foot. It takes 1 minute to rig dynamite with a longer fuse so it explodes after a longer period of time, such as 1 minute or 10 minutes later. Grenades and grenade launchers. As an action, you can either throw a grenade at a point up to 60 feet away, or use a grenade launcher to propel the grenade to a point up to 1,000 feet away. The grenade explodes at that point, creating a particular effect in a 20-foot radius sphere. Each creature in the sphere makes a DC 15 fragmentation grenade, Each creature in the sphere makes a DC 15 dexterity saving throw, taking 5d6 piercing damage on a failed save, or half as much on a successful save. A smoke grenade. The area of the sphere is heavily obscured by smoke for 1 minute. A strong wind, such as gust of wind spell, disperses the smoke, heavily obscured. You have the blinded condition while trying to see something in a heavily obscured space. That means guys inside and outside are effectively blinded while the smoke is there. Gunpowder. Setting fire to a container full of gunpowder causes it to explode. When a container explodes, each creature in a 10-foot radius sphere centered on the container makes a DC 12 dexterity saving throw, taking 3d6 fire damage for a powder horn, or 7d6 fire damage for a keg on a failed save, or has as much damage on a successful one. Alien technology. When adventurers find a piece of technology that isn't from their world or time period, they can deduce what it is with a successful intelligence investigation check, with this DC depending on the complexity of the item. DC 10 for a relatively simple item like a calculator or a lighter, DC 20 for a complex item such as a computer, a chainsaw, or a hovercraft. You may require a separate intelligence investigation check to determine whether a character can activate or operate the technology. A character who has observed the item in use or has operated a similar item either has advantage on the check or succeeds on the check automatically. Your choice. End of section. Whew, okay, a little bit of opining here. I'm going to try not to talk smack because I know a lot of people like the guns, like the booms, like the explosions, like all of that. First and foremost, Mastery is part of 2024. If you're going, why is that there? You're still playing 5e 2014. We don't use Mastery. There's other stuff like this in the Player's Handbook and the Dungeon Master's Guide in ours. It's just really hard to find. So most of this information isn't new to 5e before we go too far along, okay? The main thing I would caution a Dungeon Master is setting precedents. If you want to use this stuff because it's fun, use this stuff because it's fun. This is a great toolbox. The two things that I would suggest is caution in regards to the amount of it that you put into your game, unless everyone has it. This could be the basis for a great alternative themed campaign. If you want to explore a little bit more of the firearms aspect, the Old West, Red Dead Redemption meets D&D, this is a good basis to start with your gear, with your attacks, with your damage, all of that. There's no denying that. The other thing that I would caution you with, unless you yourself are, I don't want to say an expert, but very knowledgeable about firearms and their effects, is if you choose to use these systems, make no mistake about this is what you're using to your players. You might have the gun guy, the gun girl, the sci-fi guru that shows up and says, well, technically this, that, and the other. If you're not equipped to deal with that player, make no mistake in telling them, hey, we're just doing this for fun. If we're going to argue about the difference between a 20 gauge and a 12 gauge and a slug versus buckshot, I don't want to do this with you guys. We want to have guns in here for fun. We're not trying to play a gun system. If you want to play a gun-based system, there's other systems. That's the bit of advice I'm going to give to you. Number one, be concerned with setting precedents. The more common these are, the more that your players are going to expect these things to matter. Explosives and guns and stuff like that. Number two, try to minimize the amount of technical arguments that you allow yourself to be subjected to when you implement these rules. If you want to do it for fun and your players are willing to do it for fun, go with what's there. It's okay. You can adjust anything here as you see fit, but don't let your players bully you into doing things that you don't want to do. But that's all I'm going to say. Firearms and explosives can add stuff to your games, but make sure that you control the amount and the precedents, and you set the rules and boundaries for their use. So, hey, thanks for hanging out. Likes, follows, subscribes, or jump in. Hey, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the series so far. You'd love to get some feedback on these. I'm probably, 12 episodes in now? Oh, even more than that. But it's okay. I'm having fun reading it. I'm actually committed to reading the book. And hopefully you guys are enjoying reading it along with me. So join us on Twitch, push that follow, subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot. Thank you for your time. Definitely.